Stop, please put away the pitchforks. Yes, we're all aware that CG announced today that there is going to be an Omicron, a Galactic Challenge Omicron, for the new Gungan Phalanx. And the community response was about what you would expect. Fighting in the streets, mass hysteria, cats and dogs living together. And that is the initial response everyone has to a move by Capital Games and Galaxy of Heroes. And so I'm going to do two things that I never do on this channel. One, I'm going to make a video about Galaxy of Heroes, which I do very rarely. And number two, I am going to disagree with our Lord and Savior, Grand Admiral Arnold, or Galactic Emperor, whatever his title is right now. I know for two reasons. One, because the only way to be successful with Galaxy of Heroes is to make negative videos, and not really all about that. I like my videos to be a little positive, which, spoiler alert, today's is going to be as well. And then two, you don't speak out against Arnold because you get doxxed. So please don't find where I live and come kill me. Now here's the thing, let's talk about this Galactic Challenge Omicron and why it is not necessarily the worst thing ever in the entire world. Now first, let's get the obvious thing out of the way that would be completely unpleasant. Is it physically possible that every single Galactic Challenge for the next 8 months could be Gungans? They could require that Omicron to get the red crate. And so basically, if you don't get the Omicron, you won't be able to red crate for like the next 8 months. Physically possible? Yes. Likely? Probably not. And suppose that does happen. Worst case scenario, just get the yellow crate. Skip out on the Gungan feats, get the yellow crate, call it a day. The red crate is not good enough to waste my time going after really nasty feats. The yellow crate does just fine. But secondly, I don't think you're going to need this Omicron to get, unless they start doing certain feats around the shield generator or things like that. This team is pretty badass as it is. I feel like once you get well-geared Gungans, you're gonna be fine. You're not going to need this to get a red crate by doing, complete the battle with 5 Gungans. So let's simmer down just a little bit. I don't think the world is going to end when it comes to Galactic Challenges. And then best case scenario, you're still able to red crate it without getting the Omicron. You just don't have to spend it. Like, that is a completely viable alternative that could happen. But excluding those two things, let's talk about why it may not be a bad thing for the game, and in particular for newer players to the game. Now immediately, I can already hear you typing in the comments, oh, but this is a brand new faction. New players aren't gonna get this, and by the time they do Galactic Challenges, won't all be Gungans for 8 months. Calm down, we'll get there. I've thought about that. Let's take a step back and look from a new player perspective. How are you going to be good? How are you going to be a productive member of Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes? To be honest, I'm pretty far removed from being a brand new player. Let's think about specifically Omicrons for a second. If I want to be good in Grand Arena, if I say I want to get the Dash Rendar Omicron, for that to be valuable, I'm also going to need several other scoundrels, which admittedly you probably won't have as a new player. So I have to go farm that faction. Or suppose I want to use Admiral Radis, which I won't have the profundity if I'm a new player. I have to farm Admiral Radis, get the Omicron, but then I also have to farm a bunch of other pretty not good Rogue One characters as well. I want to use the Marin Omicron. I'm going to need at least Gear 12 Night Sisters to get that. Zori Bliss's Omicron, I'm gonna need Finn, I'm gonna need Poe, I'm gonna need Rose, I'm gonna need the Resistance heroes. If you get an Omicron, you have to build a faction around that Omicron. And for several Omicrons, that team is not one you necessarily already have, and maybe it's not even that great on its own in any other game mode. Like, I'm sorry to tell you, Radis Rogue One is a completely different animal in Territory Wars and Territory Battle, away from doing it in Grand Arena with the Omicron. Qui-Gon Jinn, sorry guys, you're not using the Qui-Gon Jinn lead in Territory War anymore. And yes, there are several that naturally go with character teams that you would naturally farm over the course of the game. But for the most part, a lot of those have kind of aged their way out as you progress, or they age out pretty darn quickly. Yeah, there is an Phasma Omicron for a bunch of leftover First Orders, but it's not that good anymore. There's only about 5 million things that can counter it, one being just a GG team. Padme, a lot of people have Padme. New players can get Padme pretty easily. Completely shuts down Phasma. Luke Skywalker Farm Boy, yeah, you've got the Rebels, but I mean, are you really wanting to use them? So yeah, you can assemble a team of people you already have, but they're gonna be bad, and they're going to be maybe slightly less than bad in that one game mode and complete trash in every other game mode. Now let's go back to the Gungans for a second, and let's look at this with a more holistic approach. We know that the Bombardier is going to have a raid Omicron. Do we think that that Omicron is going to affect new players 1 year, 2 year, 3 years into the future? My guess is maybe. The problem is we are too new into this new raid cycle to really know how it's going to go with longevity. But I have a theory, and we'll talk about that in a second. We know that Boss Nass has a Territory War Omicron. We don't really have any intel on how great it is yet because we don't have a full team of Gungans. Captain Tarpoles has a Territory Battle Omicron. Again, without a full team, we don't know how good it is. Now we have a Galactic Challenge Omicron, for our new Phalanx. If you look at each one of these things individually, you might think, oh, it's for territory battle. I don't like territory battles. You might think, oh, it's for territory war. Maybe it's going to be good if your guild likes territory wars. And you look at Galactic Challenge and you Scott and you're like, ugh, that's disgusting. Gungans, Galactic Challenges, those are stupid. If I had to guess, I would say that Jar Jar is going to have a Grand Arena Omicron. So let's bring all this back together. How is this actually good for new players? This is the first time since the inception of Omicrons that we have now created a faction that is good everywhere. Well, good. Again, we don't know. That's the thing. That's why we can't be upset about this yet. We don't know. But we have the basis for a team that might be good in almost every single game mode. As a new player, that's going to be huge. For an experienced player, Galactic Challenge seems trivial because, oh, we have all these different teams. I'll send Bad Batch in to go get this feat. Oh, this feat, offense up, just send in Galactic Republic with JMK. Or Shakti with the clones. Or Shakti with a bunch of Galactic Republic. Oh, I need damage over time, so I'll just send in my Lord Vader. But to a new player, it's a little bit different. So this collection of Omicrons on this team is one, giving a new player access to be successful in several game modes possibly, and the Galactic Challenge Omicron is not limited to just Gungans. Because as I said, if you want to be successful in a Galactic Challenge, you have to throw Galactic Republic at the challenge. You have to throw Empire at the challenge. You have to insert a bunch of different teams per different Galactic Challenge to get the different feats. I will admit, I could not find a complete list of every single feat that has been in every single Galactic Challenge ever. If someone has that, I would be very interested. But let's pop on over here and take a look for a second, shall we? Let's talk, aside from the fact that yes, Gungans are not going to be in every single Galactic Challenge, does that mean that this Omicron is completely worthless when Gungans are not the main feature of the challenge? And the answer to that is no. Gain offense up 20 times. It's going to be relatively easy with the Gungans now if you have that Omicron. Complete the battle after attacking 20 times out of turn. That's going to be pretty easy. That team attacks out of turn all the time. Inflict damage over time 30 times. Boss Nass inflicts 2 damage over times on the entire team when he uses, I think, a second special. So that seems pretty doable with the Gungans. Win after removing 400% turn meter from enemies. This is one that people, especially newer people, can really struggle with. And here's the thing with that Omicron, this becomes a cakewalk because you're attacking out of turn all the time. And whenever you attack out of turn, you remove 20% turn meter. Win after evading 10 attacks. After you kill someone, the entire team gains 100% evasion, meaning you're guaranteed 5 evades after you move, assuming you don't take a bonus turn or something like that. So that one on paper seems relatively doable. And we don't know what types of things Jar Jar is going to bring into the picture as well. So I'm not saying that Omicron solves every single feat in a Galactic Challenge ever, but I'm saying if you combine the benefits of the Omicron with the other benefits of the entire team, there are probably going to be a large number of these feats that you could knock out with a single team. And for a new player who is limited on the number of teams they have, that could actually be very beneficial. Combine that with just how durable this team is and how beefy that Omicron makes them and how beefy the other Omicrons make them in other game modes. It looks like CG is setting up a top tier beginner team that can be valuable in all game modes and potentially across a widespread portion of the game. So guys, let's calm down for a second. I'm not telling you this team is going to be god tier. Not telling you that this team is going to be perfect for new players. What I'm saying is let's just bring it down a notch. I know this is Galaxy of Heroes and we love to get angry about things. We love to yell, CJ, fix your game! But I can see a world in which this is not bad for the player base and specifically the newer player base. Is this great for experienced players? No, probably not. But once again, I find it hard to believe you're actually going to need this. So if it doesn't affect you, you can skip it. Not everything that's added to the game is going to be applicable to every single player. And unfortunately, the loudest people and the people that are on the forums most are going to be the people that are closer at least to the end game than the newer players. There is a world in which this could be helpful for newer players. So let's just calm down, collect ourselves, and let's see this play out. Because if this team ends up being good in territory battles, good in territory wars, if Jar Jar does come along like I expect, and he's gonna have a GAC Omicron, I mean likely 3 GAC Omicrons, we know how it works. If the raid system becomes that for newer guilds and newer players, a raid doesn't completely become defunct, then you have now a faction that is just good everywhere. You have a good starting point for players to farm, where they can now contribute and be successful in every facet of the game. And in my book, that could potentially be a good thing. Guys, I'm sorry. I know negativity is what gets views on YouTube. I'm sorry I'm not going to be negative today. There may be a day for negativity, but I don't think that day is right now. If it plays out and I'm completely wrong, that's the time we can be upset. But for right now, let's see how it plays out. I can see a world where this isn't awful. Guys, let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Hopefully you have at least opened your mind to a worldview, a different perspective where maybe this isn't a trash option. I think too many of us are too far removed from the new player experience to understand the potential positive impact of this, and we are too narrow-minded in thinking Gungans only, bad, when the Omicron very clearly gives a lot of benefits outside of just for the Gungans only feat. Guys, thank you so much. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you for watching, and we will see you in a later video or live stream.